Welcome back, everybody. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm now joined by Reed Duke. Welcome to the broadcast, Reed.
Hey, thanks a lot. Happy to be here.
Maybe it would have been a little happier if you drawn a few more spells in that last game.
Yeah, I was a little bit happier after game one, but yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be a volatile matchup, and I had really good draw in game one when his draw was just okay, and then games two and three, the opposite was true.
Sure. What do you think of that matchup overall? How happy or sad were you when you saw the deck lists? I guess.
I definitely had mixed feelings because generally speaking, the black green deck, it's like if you want to win that matchup, the tools are there for you to basically crush it. But the particularly list that I showed up with, I wasn't very well prepared, so I probably was an underdog in the match, but very dependent on the die roll and just who had a good draw and whatnot.
Makes sense. If you are worried about zoo decks, burn decks in particular, what configurations would you have changed about the black green deck?
Well, definitely a couple more kitchen finks would be the first switch start, and then um, having cheap removal. Like naturally, if you're playing Jund, you just get to have 4 lightning bolts. But even for black green against the bigger builds of Zoo, like Deathmark would be a great card against Cedric's list in particular. Um, I guess there aren't as many great options. One and a Disfigure's okay for killing goblins on stuff like that. But Deathmark only kills the Nicodle. Mostly
Now,
kitchen finks, I guess is the short answer.
what's the case for black green? I know I've seen you do this a couple times where you're not splashing a color, right? You're not Jund, you're not Abzan. Your take on Tarmogoyf Liliana tends to be the two color version.
I prefer the 2 color version against blue decks, like say for instance Splinter Twin or like a Celestial Colonnade control deck. Lightning Bolt is not stellar in those matchups anyway, and 2 colors you get to come out a little smoother. You get Treetop Village and Tectonic Edge. You don't have to worry about Blood Moon, and just all the good cards are in black and green anyway. So just clean it up a little bit and take less damage from your lands, and everything goes smoother. But if I'd known someone was showing up with something like elves, that's where you really miss having the red cards.
Okay. Now, the coolest version of the black green deck I've seen from you, it had Phyrexian Obliterators in it. Do you have any thought to bringing Obliterators to the table?
I did a little bit. That was the obliterators were that was an old fashioned thing I did for a format where Zoo was very popular. I mean, I would have loved to have him against Cedric there.
Sure.
And when they were actually sort of good against the birthing pod, like collected company style decks, because in those matchups they just put so many creatures onto the ground, like a lot of them persist creatures, that you just can't kill them very easily with by attacking one at a time with ground creatures like Tarmogoyf. But having just a effectively unblockable trampler is kind of nice sometimes in some miscellaneous matchups like that. I'm sure someday I'll bring that deck back. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, you're now dropped to the losers bracket to play against Lishi Tian on next week's show. Luis and Siggy will play next week as well. Cedric versus Sean will be next week, but we do have one match left in this week's show, and it's going to be the one on the top of your bracket there. Willie Adel against Patrick Dickman. Kind of a classic battle when it comes to the modern format.
Yeah, a classic battle, but an interesting one. I was pretty excited when I learned I was going to get to cover this match.
Okay.
I've been watching all night. I mean, the level of play has been super high. I've been really impressed. Especially, I thought Patrick played excellent in his first match against. And yeah, I mean, another close, interesting one.
Walk us through what matters in a matchup between, I guess it's Abzan and Tarmo Twin specifically.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this much. I mean, just to super simplify things, down one down to square one was I knew Patrick Dickman was going to play Splinter Twin in this tournament. I have a Splinter Twin deck. I think it's great in Modern. The only deck that I feel comfortable playing against Splinter Twin X, the Thoughtseize Liana decks.
Okay.
And I do think that Willie is going to have the edge in the matchup here. But that said, it is just a really close matchup, and I'm sure Patrick's going to do everything he can to win. In particular, it is the Thought Seizes and the Lilianas that make the matchup good for Abzan, and having so much excellent instant speed removal and insurance against the combo.
All right, looks like Willie took a mulligan down to those 6. I don't
That
see
is two lands that are not very good at casting Liliana.
exactly. Or Dark Confidant.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would strongly consider going to 5 cards here, though not necessarily. These Abzan decks tend to mulligan pretty well, and that's, I guess, what Willie decides. Because anytime, if you can ever, no matter how many cards you go down to, if you can ever get Dark Confidant to stick, then it doesn't really matter. So rather than feel helpless with a really bad 6-card hand, I would just try to mulligan, find one of those really powerful threats that can take over the game.
Well, he did find a Thoughtseize.
Yeah, he definitely has a fighting chance in this game. I mean, he's got everything he wants with a Thoughtseize, a threat, and a resilient threat at that, and then some removal spells to make sure he doesn't die or lose to the combo. I imagine this is exactly why Patrick wants Spell Pierce in deck. Just a turn 1 removal spell, or alternatively, sometimes you can snipe a Liliana, but just when your opponent mulls to 5 and you can counter their first play, that's exactly the situation you want to be in.
Now you just dropped Tarmogoyf, right?
Yeah, for sure. And being on the play.
Wow.
Oh, I'm surprised. I was going to say being on the play is big because your 2-drop won't immediately get eaten by Liliana.
I guess he left up Dispel? Like, is there an instant he was worried about?
Can't think of an instant he'd be worried about. Maybe this is, I don't know. Maybe he wants to represent Spell Snare or something like that.
It's also, I don't know if that could be 5 in the morning, right? That could be a very early morning misclick.
It's actually a great play based on exactly what Willie has here.
Sure, he's worried about Dismember.
Yeah, he played the Tarmogoyf with 1 mana open to protect it from Dismember. Only problem is, the majority of Willie's 2 mana removal is Abrupt Decay, which can't be countered anyway.
Well, it worked out for Patrick. He did not want to get his Tarmogoyf dismembered.
Yeah, it did work out, although if Willie had drawn a 3rd land, it would have ended poorly anyway.
Yeah.
And now Willie's in big trouble because if he does find his 3rd land and taps out for something, he's going to be vulnerable to the combo.
Wow. Don't you have to Liliana to kill Tarmogoyf, though?
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly... There's actually nothing Willie can do short of bluffing to defend himself from the combo here. And I would certainly just tap out and, play my best card.
And Patrick Dickman is going to win game 1. He put on pressure from Tarmogoyf. He forced Willie to react. Now the coast is clear. His opponent's all tapped out. Bounding Krasis is going to pick up a Splinter Twin. This is the new Pestermite, according to Patrick Dickman. Play the 3/3 instead of the 2/1 flyer, and there's the combo.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him beating down with it so much in the earlier match. It definitely has pulled its weight so far.
Yeah, I agree. I hadn't actually... This is the first time I've seen Krasis in this list, but it totally makes sense.
So, Randy, do you think that changes the dynamic of the match, that Patrick won the first game with the combo, and now, Willie maybe doesn't know if he's going to board it out or keep it in, or how much he should be prepared for it?
I mean, these are two guys who know their decks super well, right? Patrick
absolutely. And they probably know each other's decks as well.
Yeah, I don't think the game 1 is going to have a huge... Now, I will admit at the same time, though, I don't actually know how much of a combo Patrick wants to have in his deck here. I would think it's the weaker side of his deck against Willie, right?
I'm inclined to agree with that. I mean, there's some value to being unpredictable and keeping your opponent guessing, but like we said, the
grind.
The black-green decks just have every tool you could imagine to take apart the combo.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Patrick go full control roll with his Keranos and his Thragtusks are very likely coming in. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see him leave in like a small number of twins, and I don't know, just give himself more options. Who knows?
I mean, the fact that the Bounded Krasis is actually a decent beatdown creature makes that a lot easier, right?
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. It's yeah, I mean they just contribute pretty well to the plan of winning with Tarmogoyf Snapcaster beatdown.
Crazy. We can look at Willie's list, see if he's got anything hiding in his sideboard if they're not ready yet.
Thrawn the Last Troll, interesting tool for this kind of matchup.
He's coming in your mind?
I think so, yeah. I mean, on the one hand, it's unfortunate that it doesn't match up super well against Tarmogoyf, but um, it's really nice. I mean, as a one of, it can really throw off Patrick's plans, like on a turn that he passes with Cryptic Command, mana open, or something like that. If Willie just spends all his mana on an uncounterable, untargetable threat, it's like, oh, well, you know, that was a waste. And now suddenly he untaps and he's behind in the game. Thrun just, you know, doing things that other cards in the format don't really do. And in the Super League game, I mean, you can just have that regeneration mana open and grind through Thrag Tusks and everything like that. I think it's good.
Willie Adel's Abzan deck has all the answers, but he doesn't really know exactly which threats Patrick Dickman is going to bring to the table. So this could be fun. Is Ecstatic Caster?
So yeah, right away I was a little surprised by Willie's sideboarding there. He had Kitchen Finks and Maelstrom Pulse both still in his deck, which are certainly not bad, but I would say those were some of the borderline cards that he was probably, you know, thinking about being flexible slots. He's mulliganed to a very good 6-card hand here. And yeah, Patrick's hand also looks quite good.
Hadn't really thought about the Static Caster in this match, but I guess it makes sense.
Willie does have 4 Lingering Souls.
Yeah.
And if Patrick is fully on the control game plan, he's gonna want a way to, you know, handle that card without just getting 2 or 3 or 4 for 1 by it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the combo kill is how I would think he handles it. But if you're not a combo deck, then you're right. You have to deal with Lingering Souls.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you think with this Inquisition if you're willing?
I would. Well, so the thing is, you know, your thought seizing on turn 2. So one option A would be to take the Serum Visions and then take the negate. I suppose option B is to take the negate and then the Cryptic Command. But that's a very complicated question because you have to be thinking about what you're going to take with both of your discard spells, not just a single snapshot of like what's the best card in my opponent's hand. But Willie's decision definitely makes sense. I mean, his way to win this game is to get Liliana into play, and negate stops that. Slaughter Pact came in off of Willie's sideboard, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously against the Splinter Twin combo, but also when you're playing with Liliana and it's a big part of your game plan and your opponent has flash creatures and whatnot, Slaughter Pact just gives you a lot of flexibility in managing the board. Dark Confidant, great draw here. Patrick doesn't have any answer yet. Or, I mean, no turn 2 answer yet, but we don't know what he scribed at the top. All right, so Willie is going to get a free card. The Staticaster will eventually probably take care of that Confidant, but ooh, Thoughtseize.
Jeez. So here's Thoughtseize number 1, which is just going to get remanded to cycle.
Okay, and Patrick does find the Lightning Bolt, but boy, that Confidant is really a game changer. I mean,
yeah,
just a quick 2-for-1 advantage right away to bring Willie back after the mulligan.
So
I think we're gonna have a really good game here.
It's an Inquisition, which is probably followed next turn by another Inquisition. I mean, sorry, a Thoughtseize followed by another Thoughtseize.
I think I would take Snapcaster Mage. I don't know. My default move when I'm unsure is just always take the Snapcaster Mage because that card is just always great. Almost no matter how the game plays out. There's also an argument to be made for taking Is It Staticaster or for taking Cryptic Command. But you could probably take the Cryptic Command next turn if you still need to. Willie does take the Snapcaster.
Yeah,
I
feel
would
like
be
it wasn't
tempted.
so-
I would be tempted to leave him with the Staticaster because if you do draw a third land and Liliana it, that's pretty good exchange.
Sure. Yeah, Patrick is going to tap out, kill the Dark Confidant. He's pretty lucky he drew that Lightning Bolt off the Remand, or I think Thoughtseize would have taken Staticaster.
Yeah.
Even as it is, though, Willie gets to do the play you pointed out. Liliana's going to kill the Staticaster. No, Liliana goes up.
Yeah, I guess he decides, I can just do that at my convenience later.
And he's got a backup Liliana in his hand that he's probably not super excited about.
Yep, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense.
There looks like what Patrick's going to discard.
Yep, you nailed it. Willie discards Liliana, Patrick discards Spell Snare. Now the classic Cryptic Command versus Liliana dance here. It's more interesting when the Abzan player doesn't have any cards in hand. It's like, they plus the Liliana and you can bounce it in response. But I always love watching any really strong player, but Patrick in particular with his Cryptic Commands, because it's literally dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of options of like when you can cast it, what modes you can do, what what your overall game plan is going to be. Do you think he'll cast the Cryptic Command right away or sit on it for an extra turn?
He did not cast it. I was going to say it doesn't do a ton here.
No, I mean you could just cycle it and try to get a temporary tempo advantage. If you draw into something nice, it could be good. But certainly, if he just Cryptic and bounced and drew 2 lands or something, it would not be very helpful.
Yeah, I feel like he wants something to actually take advantage of the tempo swing. I don't know. The Snapcaster is the new card that obviously gives him yet even more options.
Yeah. He could have actually just killed Liliana if he went Snapcaster or Bolt, Snapcaster, Bolt, but that would mean losing the Cryptic Command, unfortunately, which he definitely doesn't want to do.
All right, now he's decided 6 loyalty. Let's reset this Liliana.
Yeah, he knows now that he's going to get a lot of draw steps because he's get the Cryptic Command draw, his draw step. He can Snapcaster Remand if Willie plays the Liliana. So he's just banking on finding something in so many draw steps.
Lingering Souls makes Willie even more want to play this Liliana.
Yeah, more want the Staticaster to not be there. But I guess Willie's navigating pretty nicely. Like, he knows that the Staticaster is eventually going to be a problem as the game goes along, but it poses no threat. It doesn't give Patrick an advantage while it's on the board. Willie can just wait and answer it at his convenience.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable patience from Willie, actually.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if this has to be Snapcaster Remand, right?
Yeah, that would be my guess.
I don't know. Is Willie going to regret never killing the Staticaster? You like the patient play?
I like the patient play. I mean, my first instinct was like, oh, my opponent is a creature, Liliana Edict, just because that's such a normal play pattern. But I think great job by Willie identifying the particular traits of the Staticaster, and he also has 2 removal spells in his hands, so he'll be able to answer it by the time he's ready to start playing his Lingering Souls.
It's not clear he's going to have time, though. I mean, this is the whole Tempo Twin plan of just attacking with Snapcasters. Patrick found another Snapcaster.
Mm-hmm. but elects not to play it there.
Yeah, interesting. I guess he's out of remands and was 1 mana short. It was a negate in his graveyard, though. He could have Snapcaster negate. He could have Snapcastered for negate there.
Yeah,
He just
so
chose
maybe
not.
this is a little bit of a weird
Oh, he's
guessing
going
game
for
thing.
Lily's face. Lightning Bolt you,
Yeah, I
Snapcaster,
guess it's over.
flashback the Lightning Bolt. Kablam! If there's one guy who knows how to count from your opponent's life total down to 0 with Twin Deck and just pull up,
Yeah, he knows how to punish you.
it is Patrick Dickmon. Yeah, Slaughter Packs. Sure, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Right?
So twin combo game 1 and Snapcaster beatdown game 2.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Well played by Patrick Dickmon. Just a clinic. How to play the Splinter Twin deck. And in particular, the green version of the Splinter Twin deck, Tarmo Twin, now Bounding Krasis Twin. You know what else Patrick Dickmon just did? He earned himself a night of sleep next week. By winning that match, he's actually...
Oh, he gets a bye week.
Yeah, he gets a bye. Oh, well.
Good for him.
It's not a bye, but he's all the way through to the Winners Bracket final. That match will be played in week 3. So next week, Cedric and Sean are going to see who'll be playing against Patrick Dickmon in the Winners Bracket finals. And then we got to sort out the Losers Bracket. You see 4 matches shaded as next week's matches down there.
Yeah, I'm down there with not a particularly good matchup on my hands either, so I'll see what I can do about it.
You can kill lots of creatures, right? There's just too many little elves that need to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, Sean was saying earlier he feels like the matchup is, not that great, except that he has Grim Lavamancer and Olivia, and I have neither of those, and I don't even have the 1-mana removal and Lightning Bolt. So definitely another case where my list is not well suited to what I'm going to be up against.
Yeah, you hit the aggro portion of the field, didn't you? Between Cedric and Lee.
Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting. Well, that is going to wrap things up for week 1 of Modern Super League. We certainly have enjoyed bringing this to you. We've got, we're going to have 5 more matches queued up next week. Next week, we even hope to have audio that functions the way it should. So be sure.
This is exciting. I think you did a great job with the lineup this time, Randy. You got some good players.
Oh, I'm super excited that everybody said yes. I mean, you included. Was not expect. Yeah, this was kind of the dream lineup for me. We got you in finally. We got the international flavor going. It's definitely going to be a fun couple of weeks here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out for us. We're going to wrap things up for Modern Super League week number 1. Come back next week. We'll play 5 more matches. See you guys then.